Meno Warriors, this is Kate and welcome back to my channel where I share a weekly video with you every Monday in something related to menopause. Today I'm talking about embracing the power of nature on your menopausal journey. I know that for the majority of us, things like hot flushes, energy slumps, mood swings, weight gain are common problems that a lot of us struggle with. And when you can get out into nature, it has such a profound impact on your mental health, your physical health, and also how you just show up for the world. I think it's hard to say that if you go out for a walk in nature, you come back feeling worse for it. It's a bit like a workout. Sometimes you have to push yourself out the door to get out there. It might be cold and rainy. We just don't feel like doing it. But in actual fact, it is so rejuvenating. And there is a scientific reason for that. And I'm going to explore really the benefit of being out in nature on every level to us. The fact it will help you sleep better, it'll help regulate your emotions. It's a great way of losing weight by just low impact cardio. It's a great way of connecting with friends because you might go out with a buddy or your furry friends. And it has a myriad of benefits. I'm also going to explain a little bit how we can bring nature inside to our homes, because for a lot of people, they don't have the benefit of being surrounded by greenery like some of us do. And there are a lot of things that you can do to bring some of that greenery indoors and just create more of a biophilic environment, which essentially is creating an environment that allows for you to reap the benefits of being out in nature. Firstly, stress reduction. Being outside in nature, it's proven to reduce stress. It is one of the cheapest, most effective ways of helping you reduce your stress response. Stress is a weird thing. We have a lot of people know it as the fight or flight response, but it's the fight, flight, or freeze response. And when you have got too much on your plate, when you might be having an absolute breakdown, that could just be that could be a fairly short-term thing where you just absolutely lose the plot for a short period of time, or it could be a full-on nervous breakdown. That is almost the freeze response. So you've actually worn yourself out. The adrenals are exhausted. You can no longer fight. You can no longer flee. And the only thing that is left to you is to freeze. And that happens to a lot of people. And I want you to understand that it's not just you. A lot of people go through these problems, and particularly through the menopause, because your hormones are all over the shop. As estrogen falls, our stress hormones naturally rise. So we're always fighting the rise of cortisol and adrenaline. But what we want to do is mediate that. So it's not about getting rid of stress, because stress is always going to be out there, but it is finding a way that you can more effectively manage stress, and getting out into nature is certainly going to help you do that. Another thing that being out in nature does is it boosts your mood. It's a really great mood booster. And yes, reducing stress and boosting mood are fairly similar, but I categorize them as separate issues here. I think stress reduction is one thing, but then we also want to boost our mood, and being out in nature, absorbing the scents, the sounds. I mean, turn off your phone, turn off the podcast. I know it's a great time if you're really, really busy to catch up on tutorials and catch up on podcasts and things like that you might enjoy listening to. You are cutting off so many of the benefits of being out in nature. Listening to the birds, it is so therapeutic. Listening to the breeze rustling the leaves in the trees, it is so therapeutic. Listening to running water or a falling waterfall or just a trickle of a stream. That ability for us to really connect all our senses to nature is when you're going to get the best, greatest impact from it. So leave your devices at home or in the car and just go out and absorb nature, smell it. This time of the year, it's autumn. The ground is smelling really nutty. I love the smell of the ground at this time of the year. Go out there and really observe everything on every single level. What are you hearing? How are you feeling? Your skin's probably quite cold. It's chilly. The smell of the various foliages, the leaves on the ground, the sound of your feet kicking through the leaves, the sound of the wind in the leaves, the sound of the birds. the sound of the water, all of this, it has such a profound impact on you. And even if you're not really focusing on it, it's still beneficial, but you can get so much more from it. It's a bit like gobbling a meal. You're still going to get the nutrients, but why not enjoy that meal and take it step by step and really savor the textures, savor the flavors. Don't just like wolf it down because you're in a rush. And the same situation applies, or the same principle applies. So just be mindful of really, when you're out there, make it count. Also, just being out in nature, you're generally moving. And walking, particularly brisk walking, is a really great form of low level cardio that, particularly as you're menopausal, if you used to do a lot of workouts, used to be in the gym an awful lot, or you're a big runner, you probably need to cut back on that to a degree. Not always, we're all individual. You have to find what works best for you. But the majority of the women that I work with, they are either just starting their healthy journey, or they have, like I used to, do some fairly heavy duty stuff, and they're wondering now why they cannot shift the extra weight and why they keep putting on extra weight. We have to be so mindful of our stress hormones, because those are largely the reason we're putting on weight. Our metabolism can slow down, but that's not always the case. We want to be eating plenty of food to keep our metabolism fired up. We want to be doing workouts which don't stimulate the stress hormones too much, but which are strengthening the major muscles of the body so that you stay strong, you stay lean, biomechanically you work properly. Your risk of falling over or twisting something is seriously reduced when you are strong and fit and agile. But on top of that, when you've got decent muscles, those help to keep your metabolism fired up as well. So it's a very holistic approach to making sure that you do the most that you can to help combat the menopausal symptoms that you might be getting. But the great news is it's actually easier. You can probably eat more than you were doing to weigh less. Certainly applies to me, certainly applies to a lot of the ladies I work with. And you can probably work out with less impact, for less time. Just make sure the workouts are really good workouts. So you're like a compound move, so you're doing, you're working several different muscle groups at the same time, focusing a lot around the core. That's going to help strengthen your pelvic floor as well. But you can probably do less impactful workouts too and get great results. I now do pretty much everything low or zero impact. I'm really enjoying my workouts and I'm getting great results, and they are not like the heavy duty jobs I used to do. Doing a lot of bar at the moment. I'm about to start a new Pilates program. I will go back to bar again. I will do a few more of the weight ones because I think it's nice to change things up, but I'm not doing the heavy duty weight programs because the less heavy duty ones are not working. I'm just doing it because I'm a bit of a rabbit brain and I like that variety. But I will still be doing them low impact. And I will be really listening to my body, because I don't want to stress those. I don't want to add any more stress to my body than I need to. That is something, if you can manage your stress effectively, you will make such a big impact on how you experience the menopause. And nature and deep breathing are two of your best allies. But I'm not talking about deep breathing in any great detail today, but just know, if you do deep breathing, if you're out in nature, fill your lungs and really enjoy it, because it will have so many benefits for you. Being outside in nature also means that you're getting your vitamin D. We need vitamin D. Vitamin D they're all important, but it is one of the most important vitamins that you could ever possibly have. You can get it from mushrooms and various food sources, but the best way is to be out in the daylight. Ideally, so if you can get out in the daylight within half an hour of you waking up, that is also going to have the benefit to help regulate your circadian rhythm. That basically means that you should be able to get to sleep better, more easily that following night. Because when we have daylight in our eyes, it just stimulates us that we're awake. The time is now, we're going to do our daily work. And then, as the day starts to get darker, as dusk starts to fall, your melatonin levels will start to increase, cortisol levels are going to go down, and you'll naturally start to feel sleepy. So being outside early is an absolute winner if you're able to do that. I know a lot of people can't. You leave the house in the dark, you go to the office, it's all artificial lights, or maybe you're lucky enough to have a window. but you're still not getting vitamin D through that window. And then you drive home and it's dark. And these sort of autumnal winter days can be tough. You might take a vitamin D supplement in that case. And a lot of us are deficient in vitamin D, particularly if we live in northern latitudes and, you know, we're not exposed to the sunshine as much as. So with a caveat to that, if you're in a sunny climate, just make sure that you're exposing your skin to the sunlight within moderation and all that safe stuff. I'm not a great fan of saying stick loads of sun cream on, because a lot of those are full of toxins. So that's another conversation. But getting early daylight in your eyeballs, if you wear spectacles, take them off, will really help you get to sleep better the following night. Taking activity outside, it also has that calming response. So again, it's going to help improve your chances of getting to sleep better that night. Also, being outside in nature has a positive impact on our gut health. We're reducing stress, we are boosting our mood, and that in turn can help reduce inflammation in the body, and it can promote a healthy gut. Healthy gut is an absolute foundation. It's a bit like sleep. If your gut health is off, you're pretty buggered. It's a really tough battle. A bit like sleep. If your sleep is off, again, you're pretty buggered. You really need to focus on being very disciplined with yourself if you struggle with sleep, avoiding the sweet stuff late at night, avoiding the caffeine, avoiding too much alcohol, really setting yourself up for success for sleep. And also gut health, you know, if you've had antibiotics, make sure you take a wide range of probiotics to repopulate your gut flora. I'm not going to go into gut health in any great detail right now, because it's sort of worth its own episode. Gut health is so important to you. So treat gut health like you do treat your sleep, and hopefully you're doing the things you need in order to eat lots of vegetables. That's one of the best things you can do for your gut health. Wide range of probiotics. Fermented foods are really, really good as well. So now I'm going to talk a bit about essential oils from trees, because that is one of the reasons why you feel so much better after you've been outdoors. Yes, you're exposed to nature. We're supposed to be in nature. I think it's about 90% of us are surrounded by concrete and artificial light for the vast majority of our days. That's pretty scary. When you think of our ancestors, I know we adapt, but our body has not adapted up. Our fundamentals have not adapted fast enough to, thank goodness, to think that concrete and steel and enclosed boxes are the right way for us to live, because they're not. So essential oils that trees give off, particularly things like eucalyptus, pine. I actually have 2 eucalyptus trees in my sitting room. My house is literally full of plants, because for me, nature is so important. I have an amazing view. I get outside and I walk every day, but still I want to bring the outside inside. And the young eucalyptus trees at the minute, I hope I've got very tall ceilings here, and I'm really hoping they grow really big. I've planted them in massive pots. I can't even pick up the pot by myself. It's so big. But the plan is that those things will grow in here, and they'll continue. I can smell them. But pine is another great one. There's cedar. If you have an open fire, cedar is just gorgeous. It smells incredible. Fir tree. So there's lots of they give off essential oils, and those are really, really beneficial for you. The oils, they contain compounds like terpenes and phytoncides, and those just help to protect the tree from pests and disease, and they have a very beneficial impact on us as well. Phytoncides have been proven to have an anti-inflammatory effect on us. They boost our immune system, and they also can help stimulate our T cells, our killer cells. So basically they're helping gobble up the stuff that we don't want in our body. So exposure to trees and essential oils, but essentially the essential oils from trees, just go out and walk and breathe in deeply. You're going to be exposed to such a wide range of different essential oils that are coming from those trees, and you may not be aware of them directly. I mean, I know down in the south of France, when we go down there, you can smell the eucalyptus, you can smell the pine, you can smell the wild thyme on the ground that you're walking through. It's just, I love the smell of that down there. Unfortunately, we don't have that sort of same situation here. But we can still benefit from being outside in nature, even if we can't necessarily think, oh, that's eucalyptus that I can smell. On top of that, the aromatic compounds that are in these oils, are known to stimulate the production of our neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. Serotonin is one of our happy hormones. Dopamine is sort of our reward hormone. Again, a feel-good hormone. And so being out in nature or surrounded by those oils is also going to help boost your mood. How can you really make the most of being out in nature? Be aware of it, be mindful of it. Like I said before, it's a bit like gobbling a meal. Slow down and just experience it. So have you ever heard of dowsing? Now, dowsing is something I have done. I have a couple of dowsing rods. I wish I'd brought them here. They are copper ones with a little crystal in the end. Dowsing is something I've done in the past. It's something I'm really passionate about. And I also use a crystal on a string. I've got my broomstick in the back cupboard and it works. Now, a quick story, because I want to talk about dowsing energy rings around trees, because I think that a lot of people go, energy rings around trees, it's not really scientifically proven. Well, of course it's not, because that's science, and science can only go so far. But I think a lot of you, because you're in my world, will really appreciate the power of the energy rings around trees. But this one particularly, I'm just going to talk about, well, actually, it's not very pleasant, it's sewage, but it's water flow. So when I first got my rods, did quite a bit of dowsing with them, read quite a few books, practiced. I cannot locate like the depth of water underground. I'm not that good at it yet. I've never really taken the time to do it. But dowsing rods can pretty much be anything. I know a lot of more traditional dowsers, they use, I think it's birch or willow maybe, and the rods, they dip when they go near water. Well, I practiced on hose when I was, a newbie, and it was just like, oh, okay, you have to ask them if you can use them and stuff, and then you ask what the yes answer and what the no answer is, or you say, you can say show me the direction or point in the direction of the water flow. Well, the first time I did it, I put the hose on and the hose was going that way, and these rods literally, and I was so careful not to influence them, the rods went, it's just like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. It was just like, wow. And then I made it more complicated. So I put my hose in a circle, and of course not a lot happened, because it's just like, well, this is a joke, you're having me on. But then, so I practiced with my dowsing rods loads. And then one day I needed to find a manhole cover, which I knew was at the back of my house, because my sewage system, the flow wasn't very strong. I had a septic tank, and I've got 2 sets of sewage rods. I'm very good at unblocking sewage drains. Such a glamorous lifestyle. And I was asking the rods to cross when I came across one of the manhole covers. And they crossed at the top where I knew there was one, and then they would cross halfway down the path. It's just, I know there's not one there. And then they would cross further down, which is just literally before the beginning of the septic tank. And I was just, oh, for heaven's sake, start again. What's wrong with my hands? Get my energy right. Da-di-da-di-da. Did this numerous times, tried it over several days. It was just ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going down the back of the house this one day, just totally frustrated because we've got a blocked sewage pipe. And again, it kept crossing at this point. So I thought, oh, because I laid a load of big stones down. I'd laid a weed suppressant membrane down. I really didn't want to have to shift all the stones and cut through the membrane. Anyway, I did, and lo and behold, there was the manhole cover. And these rods had been telling me that at the same place every single bloody time I'd gone down the back of the house, and stupid Hartley here had ignored them. So you can do all sorts of things, but you can also ask them to show you the rings, the energy rings around trees. So, you'd want a decent sized tree, and you stand sort of a meter away from it, meter and a half away, and you can just say, please show me the ring of the tree, the direction of the energy rings, and they'll go around, and you can walk around. It is phenomenal. You can pick ley lines up as well. That's actually the very first thing I ever did with dowsing rods. I was on a ley line and with somebody else who used to douse, and they knew the ley line was there. I didn't know where it was, and these things worked for me. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting. So dowsing, the reason I've sort of brought dowsing into it is, I'm really passionate about it. If you've dowsed, please comment below, because I was just like, I'd love to talk to more dowsers. And just to show that energy rings come off trees, and even though it's not scientifically proven, it is absolutely true. Which brings me on to tree hugging, because I think people take the mickey out of people who tree hug, but it's a bit like if you go into a crystal shop. Sometimes you will just be guided to a crystal that you want. You know that is the one you want. You may not have gone in expecting to get that crystal, but for some reason it's calling you. It's sort of dragging you in, and there's a reason why you need that crystal. I'm a big believer. I've got loads of crystals as well, and but with the dowsing and the energy, it just, and the tree hugging, it really helps you understand that there is a reason for it. There is an energetic transference. I hope the tree benefits from us as much as we do from hugging the tree, but you give it a try. If it really makes you feel uncomfortable, obviously don't. You can continue laughing at us. But I promise you, the ones who tree hug are probably the happiest of the lot. And just find the tree that suits you. There's one in Cornwall. It's an old horse chestnut tree. I always call her grandma tree. And every time I walk past her, I always pat her and say hello, always. And she is the tree that I really resonate with in that garden. I haven't found one in Scotland yet that I've necessarily wanted to start hugging. But I think it's because I'm surrounded by so many huge trees here anyway. I mean, literally, when we moved here, I honestly felt like I felt so grounded. It felt like this is where I was supposed to be all my life. It was a really, really strange sensation, and I still feel that way now. It's just it's magnetic and it's magnificent. So tree hugging is a thing, and take advantage of it. Incidentally, eucalyptus trees, big ones, when you've had a dry spell and it rains for a short or a period of time, the next day, go and place your ear against the trunk of a eucalyptus tree. Give it a hug at the same time. You can hear the water going up the eucalyptus tree. It is quite phenomenal. It actually probably will make you cry. There's something so connecting about it, and so, wow. It's quite magical. So go and listen, stick your ear against the eucalyptus tree after a period of dry, and then once it's rained, and you'll hear it sucking the water up. It's phenomenal. Lemon balm is the one I want to finish on, because lemon balm is a plant. You may well be growing it in your garden. Google lemon balm, because it's ubiquitous in most places. It's pretty much there, but you might not know it's there. If it's not, you can go and buy a plant. You can bring it indoors. Lemon balm is fantastic for helping menopausal symptoms, but especially when it's related to stress buildup or anxiety. Has an anti-inflammatory effect as well. It's good for your digestive system. You can get lemon balm supplements, but honestly I'd buy a plant and just make your own lemon balm tea. And you know, just enjoy lemon balm. Have several plants around your house, because you're going to be breathing in the aromas that it gives off, but most of all, you'll have a great supply of lemon balm leaves that you can then make a tea out of. Lemon balm is a really, really powerful ally if you are specifically dealing with anxiety. Just in case you're not sure, I'm a psychotherapist too. I'm an anxiety specialist. I've been a psychotherapist for about 16 plus years now, and anxiety is one of the things I specialize in. Deep breathing, time out in nature, exercise, and lemon balm are some of the things I would recommend to my anxiety clients. So I think just being out in nature, it just helps to ground you. It rejuvenates you. It's almost like an invisible power source for you, because essentially you're connecting back to what we all belong to, and that's a Mother Earth. And I think there's something really powerful about it. And I know some people poo-poo it, but that's up to them. Do what works for you. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be embarrassed about it. If you fancy going to hug a tree, go and give a tree a hug. Give it a big kiss. And get some house plants. You know, you can buy young eucalyptus trees online. You can propagate so many of your own plants. So I've got the Deirdre. Deirdre is my cheese plant. I've got the money tree, which I've just propagated some cuttings off, and those are propagating really well. I have a beautiful plant, and I can never remember if it's creeping or weeping Jew. Quite an inappropriate name. I always feel like I shouldn't be calling it that, but apparently that's what it's called. It's a beautiful plant, spider plant. So bring in as many as you can, and you can always stack them up. You know, like don't just put them all on the floor. I think it's part of money trees. I've got Diffenbachia. I call her Diffie. Got loads of aloe vera plants. Just bring in plants that you love the look of and that you have a connection to. And you propagate as many as you can. So, you know, whenever they need trimming off, put them in some water, see if they'll root. Put them in a glass, in some water, on a windowsill, and see if they develop roots. And if they do, in fact, you could even do hydroponics, which is essentially growing them in water, but you obviously need to put a little bit of food in the water every now and again. A lot of plants will grow successfully as a hydroponic rather than in soil. I prefer soil because actually the glasses, they're going to get really, like, you have to keep washing them. It's just like, when they're all clean, they look amazing, but it's just like, oh God, this is a pain in the butt, and I'm too lazy. So I prefer soil, and then I feed the soil. And for me, I quite like that way. But hydroponics done well looks absolutely amazing. So, you know, do really embrace the power of nature into your menopausal journey. I think because we're surrounded by it, we tend to ignore it, but it has so much more power than I think you allow yourself to believe that it does. And when you start to believe that it has so much power for you, then it's like releasing the pressure on the pressure cooker. One final thing, if you're really struggling with stress and anxiety, and working with a few people at the moment who are going through various scary tests, remember that we're a tiny planet. We're a tiny spot on a big planet, well, on a planet that is in a massive universe, and we're one of the smaller planets in that massive universe. And then there's probably more universes and more universes and more universes. We are here for such a fragment of time. And while everything seems so huge in our lives, the problems that we have seem so all-encompassing. When you can look up at the stars and you think, I wonder what Earth looks like from one of those crazy planets or stars out there that you're looking at, it just helps sometimes ground you and put things back into perspective. And I find that really, really helpful. I also find it helpful, I'm a Reiki healer as well. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit discombobulated, I really focus my feet on the ground, and I actually visualize roots going down and sort of wrapping around the sort of core of the earth. And that also has a really grounding effect. Our minds are capable of so much more than we allow them to be, than we allow ourselves to believe. And sometimes we just need to have more faith in nature and in where we belong in the world. And I think that can be a real sense of comfort when you can just gain perspective on some of the issues that might be going on. That's not to take any of the pain or the struggle or the fear away from what you might be feeling. But I think, you know, if you're sort of mid-level anxiety, or you've had a stressy day, and you might have had a stressy week or a stressy month. And I mean, life has a habit, doesn't it? One thing knocks you down, and then something else comes along, and then yet something else, and then something else. You think, flipping heck, is it ever going to stop? Those are those moments where just go outside, take a look at the stars, take a look at the moon, feel the sun on your skin, just get outside, do some deep breathing outside, and just listen to the breeze in the leaves in the trees. So this is all very sort of personal practice. I think depending on what your belief systems are, I think we could all benefit by being in nature more often. And definitely there are scientifically proven things like the essential oils from trees, vitamin D in your eyes and on your skin first thing in the morning, helping your circadian rhythms. And then the energies, we know that they exist. Whether you choose to believe that or not is entirely up to you. I'm not going to try and convince you one way or the other, but I highly recommend exploring it and learning a bit more about it, because you can only benefit from going down that path. Anyway, I hope that was helpful to you. I'd be so interested. Please comment if you've done any dowsing, if you've had any experience with, you know, helping yourself by being out in nature. For me, I know it's a huge de-stressor, and it's something that I gain enormous benefit from. Thank you for your company. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so far already, and you can click the bell icon. That'll notify you when I share a new video next week. And make it a great week. I hope you stay safe. I hope you have fun, and go and get some lemon balm. It's brilliant.